Plymouth, Massachusetts. On Thanksgiving evening, Sheriff Eric Newlin arrives at the home of Mitch Collins and his wife, Amanda. Joining them is Thomas Wright, the wealthy owner of Wright Mart stores, along with his new wife Kathleen and his daughter Jessica. Jessica resents her stepmother and is more focused on heading to the movies with her boyfriend Bobby and their friends. Meanwhile, Mitch, who manages a local Wright Mart store, is disheartened to learn he's been called in for the early Black Friday sales. Jessica and Bobby meet up with their friends, Evan, Gabby, Scuba, and Yulia, for the movie, but Evan insists on stopping by Wright Mart. Since Jessica has access to the store, the group decides to sneak in before it officially opens. Outside, the crowd of eager shoppers begins to grow aggressive. A rival student, Lonnie, stirs up the mob when they see the teens inside and demand entry. As tensions rise, the crowd presses against the store's glass doors, which begin to crack. Chaos erupts when the doors shatter. Customers flood into the store. In the mayhem, a security guard named Doug is trampled to death, while another shopper is fatally injured by shards of glass. Bobby attempts to help but suffers a broken wrist when he's stomped on. Amanda, who had arrived to drop something off for Mitch, is knocked to the ground and suffers a gruesome death after her head is slammed by a shopping cart, which scalps her. Mitch arrives too late and is devastated to find his wife's body. The riot only ends when Sheriff Newland fires a shot into the air to break up the frenzy. A year later, Wright Mart prepares for yet another Black Friday sale. Mitch, now unemployed and grief-stricken, leads protests against Thomas Wright and the company, furious that no one was held accountable for the tragedy. The store claimed its security footage was non-functional that night. Bobby, who lost his baseball career due to his injury, has become estranged from Jessica and the group. Jessica has since moved on and started dating another classmate, Ryan. While at a local diner, the group spots Bobby for the first time since the incident. Shortly afterward, they are all tagged in an ominous Instagram post by someone using the name John Carver, a reference to the historical pilgrim. That same night, Lizzie, the diner's waitress and a survivor of the Black Friday riot, who was pushing the cart that killed Amanda, closes up for the evening. Suddenly, a masked killer wearing a John Carver disguise attacks her. He slashes her palm, then forces her head into a sink full of water before sticking her face to a frozen freezer door. Lizzie rips her own skin off trying to escape, unable to call for help. She flees to her car but discovers the killer has already taken her keys. He attempts to run her over. She hides in a dumpster, only for Carver to ram it, slamming the lid shut and brutally cutting her in half. Her lower body is later found gruesomely displayed atop the Wright Mart sign for the town to see. Sheriff Newland begins investigating the murder after learning of Lizzie's role in the riot. Jessica aids the investigation by uncovering missing security footage from the night of the chaos, footage that clearly shows Lizzie's involvement. As the investigation unfolds, the teens begin to speculate about potential suspects. Mitch, a vocal critic of Wright Mart, is considered, as is Ryan, who was seen speaking with Doug just before the riot. Ryan, however, claims the interaction was simply a drug pickup. Meanwhile, Manny, a security guard who fled as the riot erupted, is preparing for a vacation when he hears a noise in his home. Despite trying to appear unfazed, he is ambushed by the killer, Carver, who impales him in the stomach with an electric mixer before using a garrote to decapitate him. Carver's next targets are Lonnie and his girlfriend, Amy, both of whom were present during the riot. As Amy performs trampoline tricks to impress Lonnie, Carver silently approaches and snaps Lonnie's neck from behind. Unaware, Amy continues jumping until Carver jabs a knife upward through the trampoline, stabbing her foot. She collapses and Carver finishes her off with a fatal stab through the neck and back. Later, Jessica accompanies Evan and Gabby to the high school, while Newland and his officers remain stationed outside. Once inside, Jessica becomes separated from the group. Carver ambushes Evan and Gabby, leaving them incapacitated. He then turns his attention to Jessica, who barely manages to escape with her life. Yulia's father attempts to relocate her to Florida for safety, placing them under the watch of a private security guard. However, Carver infiltrates their home, fatally shooting both the guard and Yulia's father before turning his sights on Yulia. Jessica and Scuba realize she's in danger after witnessing the attack unfold over a video call. They rush to her house but arrive too late. Carver has already captured Yulia. In a horrifying act, he activates a buzzsaw and throws her onto it, disemboweling her as Scuba watches in stunned horror, cradling her lifeless body. In response, the police devise a plan to lure Carver out during the town's Thanksgiving parade. Jessica, her family, and Scuba are required to participate, knowing they are Carver's main targets. Despite objections from Mitch, the parade proceeds. Carver soon emerges in a disturbing clown costume, brutally decapitating a turkey mascot before unleashing chaos with smoke bombs, triggering mass panic. Amid the confusion, Carver abducts Scuba and the Wright family. Kathleen later awakens in Carver's basement, where he is grotesquely preparing her like a Thanksgiving turkey. She briefly manages to free herself and attempts to escape, but Carver recaptures her and shoves her into an oven, burning her alive. He then presents her roasted body to a horrified Thomas, alongside the captive Jessica, Scuba, Evan, and Gabby. Carver begins live-streaming the horror, smashing Evan's skull on camera. Seizing a moment, Jessica uses a ring, previously given to her by a local drug dealer, to cut through her restraints. She discreetly passes the ring to Scuba, who uses it to break free and launch an attack on Carver. Jessica escapes and deliberately draws Carver away from the others in a desperate attempt to save them. Jessica flees through the woods and stumbles upon a warehouse filled with parade equipment. Outside, she discovers Sheriff Newland unconscious. Inside the warehouse, she spots Bobby wandering around, briefly leading her to believe he might be Carver. But as the police arrive and begin searching, Bobby vanishes. Officers inform Jessica that her father and friends are safe. Left alone with Newland, Jessica notices something disturbing: brambles on his shoes identical to those she encountered in the woods. Realizing the truth, she confronts him. Newland is the real John Carver. He calmly confesses, revealing that his killing spree was driven by revenge. He had been having an affair with Amanda, who was pregnant at the time of her death during the riot. To throw off suspicion, he drugged Bobby and framed him. Unbeknownst to Newland, Jessica had been live-streaming his confession. As Newland lunges at her, Bobby returns and helps Jessica escape. They make it to Bobby's truck, but Newland has already chained it to a support beam, preventing their getaway. Thinking quickly, Jessica exits the vehicle and begins inflating a nearby parade float. She lures Newland close before shooting the float, triggering a massive explosion that engulfs him in flames. In the aftermath, Jessica is reunited with her loved ones. Authorities believe Newland perished in the blast, finding nothing but ashes at the scene. However, Jessica is unsettled when she sees a masked firefighter carrying an axe, someone who eerily resembles Newland. Later that night, while sleeping beside Ryan, Jessica suffers a nightmare. A flaming Newland emerges from her closet and attacks her.